For more than 100 years, the International City-County Management Association has been dedicated to creating and sustaining thriving communities throughout the world.
It's been fabulous, a great chance to reconnect and get back out after COVID.
It's great to see folks in person and connect this way, so it's really been a pretty incredible conference.
Just getting to meet so many people and networking. Everyone has been so welcoming, and I've gotten a lot of business cards to have to connect with after, so that's been a great highlight.
Any help you need in your career, any place where you need enhancement to your skills, you can find it all. And it's fun to make new friends too.
Columbus has turned out to be kind of a treasure. It's been really a fun city to be in.
By bringing together the nation's best city and county leaders, ICMA is improving the essential functions for professional local government management executives. And we're here to highlight it all. Hello and welcome to our fourth and final day here at the 2022 ICMA Annual Conference. As we round out our final full day, you'll hear from a game changer in the field of mental health and why now is more important than ever to be having this conversation.
I'm representing millions upon millions of Americans who need the support of their city and county managers to feel better tomorrow.
We'll wrap up our tour across the country highlighting how city and county managers are improving lives in their communities.
There's some great opportunities to make it more affordable for all of our community to ensure that we can maintain the quality of life that we live. I really think that what we'll see is a community that's much stronger.
It's another full day of content ahead, and there are multiple ways to watch. You can make sure you never miss a minute by finding the numerous ICMA TVs placed all around the convention center, checking out the dedicated ICMA TV page on the ICMA website, or looking up event info on the meeting app. And of course, by checking out our YouTube channel or Twitter feed. Happening today at ICMA, if you're up early, why not go for some breakfast and some learning? Check out our cheat sheet presentation, Navigating the Redevelopment of Small Downtowns. And head to this year's inspirational closing general session with Derek Kayango. He's sharing his amazing story of being a Ugandan refugee turned successful entrepreneur and human rights activist. And thank you so much to all of the volunteers and to the City of Columbus and Franklin County for your hospitality and a very great week. Now we start off this fourth and final day in the city of Durango, Colorado, where they were recently ranked the #1 most loved tourism destination in the entire state. Let's see how this small city provides big services.
The city of Durango is founded really on the railroad. Been here since the 1800s. An old western mining town is how it got its start. Since then has transformed into a full service community. Durango, what makes it so special is the special community that we have.
I think when we look at the future of Durango, there's lots of opportunity. The community is really focused on sustainability. How do we continue to be a really desirable place to live and to work and to run a business, while at the same time being able to provide all the services that we want in a very desirable location.
When I look at it, I see there's some great opportunities for us to be able to make it more affordable for all of our community, to ensure that we can maintain the quality of life that we live, and that our kids will have teachers, and that we'll continue to have healthcare options, and that our restaurants can continue to thrive and succeed by finding a workforce. I really think that what we'll see is a community that's much stronger.
Now to a spot known for its diversity. Just 20 miles east of Vancouver, Coquitlam boasts a progressive and well-educated workforce. Let's see how the city is investing in sustainable modern services to support this vibrant community.
The attitude we've taken in Coquitlam is to make sure we bring on board experts, we do tremendous planning, we make it so that those plans come to fruition. But by and large, it's about making sure that City Council and the staff of the city are aligned, that the expertise in staff is supported by Council's decisions.
I'm Pete Steblin, and it's my great privilege to be the city manager for the City of Coquitlam.
My name is Raul Alueva. I'm the Deputy City Manager with the City of Coquitlam.
We're always looking for innovative partnerships.
We believe that those partnerships are worth investing in and spending the time and energy, and I think it's achieving amazing community value, and it's an example to other public organizations.
My name is Michelle St. Hill, and I own the salon called Eddie and Ev, which is on Ridgeway Avenue. I think that you have to take direction from your leaders and trust that they're doing the right thing. And for me personally, I just do.
Joining us here in studio is Johnny Crowder, the founder and CEO of a global mental health company, Cope Notes, and also one of this year's ICMA Game Changers. Thanks for being here.
I am pumped to be here.
I'm excited to talk to you. So tell us, what is Cope Notes and where did you come up with the idea?
I grew up with a bunch of different mental health conditions, all sorts of symptoms that were all overlapping. So depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD from abuse when I was younger. And then once I did start treatment, I kept quitting because I didn't feel comfortable. I went to school for psych and started focusing on building something that would be an easier first step. I created Cope Notes about 5 years ago, and the short version is that we use daily text messages to improve mental and emotional health over time with these simple little interruptions. Just one text a day at a random time that includes health education information. And over time, your brain literally learns to think in healthier patterns.
Wow, interesting. So what is the cultural impact of making mental health a cornerstone of the community?
When you walk the walk when it comes to mental health, you don't just say mental health is important, but you implement resources and you use the resources yourself as a leader. You lead by example. You're showing them, not telling them. And the cultural impact means that when people go home, city and county employees go home, residents go home, and even leaders go home, when they're by themselves, not around anybody else, they feel safe engaging with the mental health support because they've seen somebody else do it and they feel culturally safe engaging.
And can you share some success stories from your work with the government?
Saline County in Kansas is like one of my all-time favorite counties we've ever worked with. They blew the horns, like they built out loud, and then here's what's really important from the cultural perspective that you mentioned. Not only did Saline County actually purchase Cope Notes subscriptions and then distribute them in their community and see success from it, but they did it in a public way that set an example. If the county that we live in is prioritizing mental health, what about us as a nonprofit? What about us as a hospital? Like, we need to follow suit.
Johnny Crowder, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Absolutely, thanks for having me.
Turning now to Florida's Gateway, Columbia County is on a mission to foster a strong local economy by promoting a favorable business environment for capital investment and meaningful employment. Let's take a trip to the Sunshine State.
Our mission is to build a better quality of life for our residents and our future residents by providing opportunity for jobs, for growth, for development, while maintaining the quality of rural lifestyle that we have.
Florida offers a really unique opportunity. It's one of the fastest growing states in the United States. There isn't a better place right now to do business in the state of Florida than Columbia County because of their willingness to want to prepare to receive that growth, to grow in a very smart manner, and to be able to partner with companies that want to be here for the long term.
Columbia County's economic development team are great partners in helping businesses, identifying sites, guiding through the permitting process, finding workforce, and helping businesses to be set up to succeed.
Public and private partnerships are pretty crucial to the development of any community, specifically ours. Ultimately, the goal for everybody is to make Columbia County a great place to live, work, and play.
Now let's hear from a city putting strategic leadership into practice. It's the ICMA award-winning work of Bondurant, Iowa.
There's the old expression of, if you don't know where you're going, any path will do. So it's important to have that strategy to figure out where you're going, figure out your goals, figure out your priorities. Thinking about what is going to affect people not today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now. The city of Bondurant doubled its population from 2000 to 2010, and again from 2010 to 2020. Our organizational structure when I started with the city was very flat. We needed to grow that. I always tell the story, my very first staff meeting with the city, every single person who worked for the city showed up to that staff meeting. Over the course of the past 5 years, we've established what we've branded as our SCORE program, and it's Strategic Continuous Operational Redesign and Evaluation. It's basically our brand of continuous improvement and how we evaluate an issue, test a hypothesis, create the process, do the analysis, and then come up with the solution. using this process in our economic development efforts as just one example, we've been able to more than double our total valuation for the community and increase our total industrial and commercial valuation by over 770%. We currently are going through our comprehensive planning process, which it will be our guiding tool for the next 20 years. And we've had more engagement than we ever had before because we're also able to do a lot more parks projects than we've ever been able to do before. And it's been well received from the citizenry.
Staying in the South, let's check out the border town of Brownsville, Texas, where their motto is on the border, by the sea, and beyond. And even SpaceX is taking note of this thriving southern city.
Brownsville has changed a great deal through time from this bustling frontier city on the border. And today we have rockets firing from SpaceX towards Mars. So it's been quite a journey for Brownsville.
The future for Brownsville is pretty bright. Everything from our historic downtown and the revitalization efforts taking place there, capitalizing on the fact that we have not only a deep sea port, an international airport, 3 railways to Mexico, rapid transportation system, and now we have our spaceport. So being that one city with 5 methods of international trade really puts us on the map.
It's an exciting time. We have some of the newest master plan mixed-use communities, the redevelopment of our Sunrise Mall through main event, so fun places to live and work. So we're really excited about the economy, and I invite you all to come visit Brownsville because we love this city.
We wrap up our tour of cities across the country in Danville, Virginia. Filled with historical landmarks and a beautiful rolling countryside, Danville is at the start of an economic resurgence where the goal is to leave no resident behind. Let's see how they're doing it.
Danville, when it was coming up, it was built on 2 industries. That was tobacco and textile. We had a period of decline, and thankfully leaders in the past decided we're going to have to invest, we're going to have to take risk, we're going to have to look at economic development a different way, we're going to have to build our own success.
What I'm excited about is how this community has come together. We truly have had a shared vision. It's not to say it's been easy every step of the way, but we can look back, we can see what we've set out to do. We've been very deliberate. It's taken all sectors of this community.
Danville will be an example for other communities like ours, older, isolated, former industrial cities that achieved new economic success and did it in a way that brought everyone along.
Now let's focus on a major challenge facing local governments, affordable housing and homelessness. Joining me, 2 county administrators. We have Ian Coyle from Livingston County, New York, and Jeff Aludo from Hamilton County, Ohio. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So, very important topic. What's the scale of the problem of affordable housing? Jeff, how have you seen things change in your counties in recent years?
It's one of those, what I think ICMA would call wicked issues, one of those big issues in the nation that are so pivotal for many things. We know that the issue of affordable housing is not just important from a housing perspective, but it also impacts so many other things. It impacts competitiveness in a region, it impacts healthcare, it impacts economic mobility, and I think the pandemic has served to exacerbate that, especially as we've seen housing prices, rental prices continue to increase, and we've seen that locally as well.
Have you been seeing that as well, Ian?
Yeah, so I'm a small rural county. I've only got 65,000 people, but even my homelessness and kind of housing affordability issue as a crisis, if you will, even on a small level and a small number, we've seen this sort of an expansion and a growth in that area.
Jeff, let's talk about ARPA. So how has that enabled you to really build up your housing plan?
Our commissioners have been very aggressive on using ARPA as a tool to help us for the first time address affordable housing to scale. So we received $158 million in ARPA funding. A full quarter of that is going towards housing. We have $40 million going towards housing, with $25 million of that going towards housing production.
So, I mean, you're talking big numbers there. Is that going to solve the problem completely, or do you still need to supplement those funds?
I don't think we can say it's going to solve the problem, but we think that it's going to start to make an impact. And when we leverage that with realizing that even with those dollars, we're not the only game in town. There's a lot of partners out there that are going to help us with this. We're hoping to be able to start to move the needle a bit on the problem.
And Ian, you've had an anti-poverty plan that's come up with some very creative ways to impact a lot of the causes of homelessness. So how did that get started?
So it got started as a strategic planning effort. We've got 32 departments in the county, so we kind of took a step back and said, what departments are involved tangentially, directly, indirectly, whatever, with the issue of poverty in general. We sort of all got together and said, this is how we need to plan. We need a cohesive effort. We all have a little tiny slice, in terms of inputs that lead to the outputs of trying to reduce poverty.
And so tell me, what's been your approach to funding, and has ARPA helped that?
ARPA has certainly helped it. So we have a land bank corporation, which is a separate 501c3 that we started to kind of support, dilapidated housing, restore housing, tear down housing, and then when we do restore it and revitalize a neighborhood one property at a time, the people that are coming in there under the bylaws are people of a low mod income. And we did use a draw from ARPA to support that and sort of give them some more leverage, some more funds.
And Jeff, what have you done that's beyond ARPA for funding?
I would say that the county really started to get into the affordable housing game back in 2016, and we had to be creative about it. We had to find other sources of funding. We used some general funding. We used some of our other entitlement funding, like our home investment partnership funding. We used community development block grants. And I'd say since 2016, we've placed around a little over $8 million into affordable housing, creating maybe over 800 units, but nothing like we're able to deal with now with ARPA. But we've also leveraged the talents of our staff.
I love that, tapping into the talents of the staff. That's fantastic. So I want to ask you, Ian, so how important is it to ensure that all available housing is used and remains viable?
We have a lot of communities that have cities that were built for a certain population that, in industry change, there was, we call it the Rust Belt, but they're sort of revitalizing themselves. So you have some changing demographics, so you have a housing stock that was built for so many people that people number isn't there anymore. We're kind of going unit by unit because we're small enough and nimble enough to be able to do that, as opposed to, we don't have the kind of the scale that Jeff has, but with what we have, that's our best path forward.
How important is it to consistently revisit and reassess your work?
We're getting $158 million from the federal government. Yeah. So I think the public has a right to expect that by the time we are done spending this in a few years, that we're going to have made a sizable and robust impact on the problem. So I think it's incredibly important that as we go through this, we continue to make sure that we're spending the dollars effectively, that we're looking around, making sure that we're following other best practices, that we learn from other communities and what they're doing, and that we can apply those lessons, because without that, the last thing we want to do is get to the end of this line on funding and we haven't made the impact that we wanted.
And finally, do you see a better future for the problem of homelessness across the country? And what's one key lesson for other counties and cities? And I'll start with you, Ian.
ARPA funding and other funding is really game-changing kind of funding, transformative funding for counties. It's the largest infusion of federal cash in the nation's history to local governments. So we have to capitalize on that. And how we capitalize on it is creative ideas and solutions around kind of age-old problems that we can't combat ourselves. We have to have partners to do it.
Got to work together. Well, Jeff Aludo, Ian Coyle, thank you both so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As our week comes to a close, we wanted to hear from you. So what has been your favorite highlight from this week?
Well, I went to my first ICMA conference in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, right? And so it's just really good to just be back among, folks who are doing this important work. So
it's been wonderful. This is my first time ever going to an ICMA conference. I wasn't really sure. I just thought, there's only city manager, and then I didn't really know what else there was. But in talking with so many different folks with lots of different positions and how their careers have turned out, I don't have to figure it all out right now. I've got a lot of time, and so many opportunities and really great support systems have come from this, so it's been great.
I think the highlight for me has been the assistant city manager track. That's been really nice to meet people that are just like me, and then also to get some ideas and share my ideas, and it's been really wonderful.
Getting a chance to work and join up with the community here in Columbus metro area for an entire day was great, just to meet new people, see how another city hall operates, check out new community centers, and just kind of talk shop a little bit, learn new skills.
You know, we had the opportunity as a bunch of colleagues to go to the OSU game on Saturday and be part of the tailgating. That was a real treat.
I think for me, the focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion has been really great. Good takeaways this morning from Lee Jordan, and challenged me to work on that in my organization.
Just being able to answer some of the questions for folks looking to hire equity officer and give insight on the work we've done for 3.5 years, make sure that there is access and opportunity for everybody. And so I'm just encouraged and recharged to go back and keep doing the work we were already doing.
That'll do it from all of us here at ICMA TV in Columbus, Ohio. We hope you enjoyed the insightful interviews, trips to various cities across the country, and engaging content to help us all be better leaders within our communities. Even as you head home, you can still watch all of our ICMA TV content on the TVs around the venue, on the dedicated page on the ICMA website, and by checking out our YouTube channel or Twitter feed. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I'm Elisa Henry, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.